The reason I brought it in, I bring in these kind of things, and the reason it's difficult, I'll be kind of disoriented in this. The reason I bring it in is because this translates what we're learning in our own experience, in our own world. And this is also the difficulty. Like, you were taken aback. You mean he gives it back and you loses all this money? And to reflect on the fact he loses the money, but where is he? In whose domain does he function?
He functions in a godly context. Yeah.
Completely. All right, there's much to speak about it. I don't want to deviate to where we are. Okay, let's see if we can pursue second line from the of the last section on page Bamdalit. In the middle of that line, the Rebbe says, "The Spheres Hein Shem Havaya." That's the part. Spheres, they are the Shem Havaya. Prior to that, he says, we must not think of the Spheres. This is a koyach hagvul shebein soif. We discussed this at great length. A koyach hagvul that is really demonstrative of the power and the greatness of himself, but it's not the inside. It's in a different realm, a different reality. Says no, that's not what it is. As a Spheres acknowledges this is the Shem Havaya. A Shem Havaya is, as the Pasuk says, Ani Havaya Hu Shmi. This is my name. My name means Shmi Hamyuchad Bi. Okay, the end of the second line. Shmi Hamyuchad Bi, my name that is Miyuchad Bi, that is united with me. So the union of a union and unity and interrelationship and so forth, we already, so to speak, passed through that, and we were able to put that in perspective. But now we have this a completely different challenge. We continue on the third line on the last section. And since that they are, the Spheres, are bibchinas yichud udveikus, have the inherent element of yichud and dveikus, unity and connectivity, connection. Harei hein bibchinas pshitus. That translates that they are bibchinas pshitus. Why? What makes us conclude that they be b'chinas pshitus? And we already discussed many times, b'chinas pshitus is a very unique type of description. What is unique in b'chinas pshitus? There is essentially two domains. The worldly domain. And worldly does not mean a lowly world that is completely devoid of chayus, of life. But in this view, in this context, worldly means anything that was preceded by not being and had to be brought into existence. And then there is a completely different reality. That which did not have to come into existence. Doesn't have that whole phenomenon of coming into existence. Because it's the fundamental reality itself. Like the Rambam says, the first principle is that there is a first being. First being did not come into existence. Because anything that needs to come to existence has to have a sense of what is it doing here. First being does not carry that message. I'm here to accomplish such and such. It's reality itself. It's hard for us even to perceive this kind of thing without seichel, worldly seichel, because we do not have that concept in our worldly orientation. We do have that concept within our neshama. Like we said last night, our ratzon needs no explanation. Seichel does. Even the seichel on the highest level. So he says that the essence is a dovug in Ein Sof, in Ein Sof. And then he continues and says, this is stopped yesterday. Since that they are the beginners pshitus. Pshitus means what? That's exactly what pshitus means. The contrary of world.
What?
The contrary of world. Pshitus means there is no way, nothing to grasp over there. They are a reality that does not explain itself. What is it doing here? And there's no here. That's why they're European pshitus. So let's continue a little bit further. Why are they automatically b'chinas pshitus? Since that they are dobuk miyochad. The hadvekus behamakor mechayev because the very principle, phenomenon of dveikus b'hamokor, of being connected to the makor, mechayev, that obligates, means it's an imperative conclusion. Shehiyeh k'mei hamokor, that it should be like the makor. The dveikus in the makor, being connected to the makor, to the source, is a direct, it's an imperative conclusion that it has to be like the makor. What is the makor? What is the meaning of makor over here? It says dveikus b'hamokor. Dveikus, in other words, there is something unique about the fact that there is a makor, not the greatness of it, that is Ein Sof, but the fact that this is a makor. What is a makor? If you have a mikveh, and a mikveh has, or a basin, or a lake, a mikveh has a huge body of water. And you fetch water from this lake. This lake does not acquire the title of makor. Because the lake itself has a finite presence, no matter how great. And the water that's in the lake has been brought into the lake. Makor is a completely different concept. I think the easiest way for us to kind of conceptually relate to this principle is a comparison between a wealthy person and an immensely wealthy person and the king. The wealthy person accumulated his wealth by conducting wisely his business. Where did he conduct his business? Thank you. The domain in which he conducted his business, is that his domain? Or is the domain something that is completely different in a different element? It's not his. He conducts business there, whether it's in this country or it's in a folk. Or a foreign country makes no difference. Thank you. There is some kind of a reality wherever he finds it. From which he draws his wealth. An interesting phenomenon in our own state of affairs. We have a city government, a municipal government, we have a state government, and we have federal government. City government can go bankrupt. It's conceivable that it gets bankrupt, and it gets redeemed by the state government. The state government can go bankrupt, in which case it'll be salvaged by the federal government. The federal government cannot go bankrupt. If this country is for real, there's no way that the federal government can go bankrupt. Of course, it's been governed by human beings who can make many mistakes and so forth, and bring it to its knees, but they cannot be bankrupted. This is the pshat makor. Where does it come from? It's creating its wealth internally. This Ayin that is creating its wealth internally, it's self-supportive, it's self-replenishing. There is not a concrete element there that you identify, this is the country. He has no boundaries. It's a fundamental reality itself. There's no outside. It does not get, its borders do not define it. And America happens to be an excellent example, an illustration of this, because it is from sea to sea. Not like European countries that are bordered. From sea to sea, the entire terrain. This is not a defined presence. This is representative of the reality. This is called a makor. And that's why and this is a makor. It's an ever-flowing, never-ending resource. So the important point is this thing, never-ending resource, identified. What is it? The answer is it defies identification. If it defies identification, that means that it is bipshitus. Let us focus in on this for a moment. There's a shul here. This is called Chasidim. This Chasidim is a congregation that gathered together from within the neighborhood, and they decided we'll make our own congregation. It was created intentionally. I'm not happy here. I'm not here. I'll make my own. Let's make our own good, where we feel comfortable. This was done, so to speak, in a circumstantial situation. And was compelled by the situation itself. Now let us project beyond that. How did I said the United States is a pretty good example. How did the initial governing element in the United States begin? It's true that there were foreign lands, that European that transplanted their people here, but essentially, people came here. They're here on an open island, on a continent that was not inhabited. Automatically, the coexistence on this continent brings about that there's a certain means to a certain mode of interrelationship. And eventually it becomes codified and principled and so forth. So that the federal element is a direct reflection of the fact itself. There is not that element that defines it, like we say, this congregation, that congregation. Do I have you with me? What?
This is saying the development of the country is the same or different from the congregation. I'm not.
If you throw together a number of people on an island, how long will it be before there's some kind of order in their?
So social order evolves. Yeah. No.
Why?
Why? They're organizing themselves and
Why?
they're overcoming obstacles together, overcoming conflicts, and working towards a purpose together.
What is that all that to say?
What does it say?
Is this something that pre-planned?
In these situations, we're pointing out this is circumstantial. Like they found themselves.
But this circumstance is a real circumstance. This is where they live.
Yeah.
This is life itself.
Okay.
That creates it.
As opposed to
defined borders.
Meaning they're like proactive in. The shul has defined scale.
The shul didn't have to come into existence.
Yeah.
There is not any compelling element in the neighborhood that compels that there should be the shul. Therefore, it is based on its own parameters.
Oh, its own internal imperative, not some artificial border.
Not some kind of reality beyond itself.
Something intrinsic. Something. Okay.
Pshitus means something that is real in and of itself. A makor is not identifiable by what does it have, what is there, how do you identify it, how do you call it. A makor is an endless resource that is not consistent of the element that it provides. What then is it? It's pshitus.
Yeah. And really there's no good mashal for, these mashalim are pointed, but there's no real
This is
mashal
all,
for
everything gets to be relative because you're talking in a worldly realm.
Yeah.
But we have to remember, like we spoke last night, and we spoke yesterday, Seichel has borders. If you have to go from place A to place B, it's measured in terms of effort and time. Then there is ratzon, which is the primary reality of the presence of the human being. It's borderless and it's limitless. And it's totally inappropriate to say, you want to live, why do you want to live? There is not such that question doesn't apply. If you understand what ratzon is, that question is totally out of place. It's a godly reality that's placed in the human being. Okay, just one more word. It is not a real presence, an identifiable presence. Therefore, anything that's connected to it is just like itself. That's what the Rebbe says. And David, Beham Makor, has to be like the makor. Otherwise, what is it connecting to?
Anything connected to it is just like it?
Yeah. Because there's nothing.
Would you say Seichel is connected to it, but different?
Seichel is not connected. Seichel is a derivative.
So here connected means...
Connected means inseparable. Not identifiable independently.
Rabbi, 7:13, 7:14.
All right.